Hey kiddos, we are working on Envision Grade 5, Lesson 2-7, subtracting decimals, and our essential question is, how do you subtract decimals? So I'm going to be doing these on a piece of paper so I can write a little bit bigger since we're going to be regrouping in this sense. Remember, whenever you are adding or subtracting decimals, you are to line that decimal up, and you cannot have different place values add or subtract from different place values. So you have to have it all lined up. So let's go ahead and do number 1. All right, so it's 92 1/10 minus 32 6/10. Now remember, for these you have to regroup. So I'm gonna get a different color pen to do this. So the 1 is going to change to 11. We're going to borrow from this 2 here. 11 minus 6 is 5. Bring down your decimal. All right. And again, we cannot say 1 minus 2. So we're going to borrow again. We're going to borrow 1 from the 9, which makes it 8. 11 minus 2 is 9. And 8 minus 3 is 5. So it's 59 5/10. All right. Number 2. 52 7/10. 36 9/10. All right, we're going to regroup as well. I'm going to get a different color for this. Let me try to get a lighter color this time. All right, so your 7, you're going to borrow from that 2. You can't say 7 minus 9. 17 minus 9 is 8. And then you're going to borrow again from that. Oh, we're going to bring the decimal down first. And we're going to borrow again from that 5, because we can't say 1 minus 6. So that changes to 4 and 1. 11 minus 6 is 5, and 4 minus 3 is 1. We're making sure we're bringing down those decimals. Everything's lined up nicely. So that's 15 8/10. Okay. All right. I am going to continue. Fold the paper down. All right. This number is a little bit longer, and it also has a hole in it where there's not a place value. That's going to be the 100th spot. We're making sure we're lining up all of our decimals. 96. And you see there's this hole is right here, what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to put a 0 there that holds our place. Okay. All right. Now I can't say 0. Oh, sorry. 0 minus 6. So I'm going to borrow from this 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Cannot say 5 minus 8, so we're going to borrow from the 7. 15 minus 8 is 7. Okay. We cannot say 6 minus 9, so we're going to borrow 1 from the 5, makes it 4. Put that 1 there. What's 16 minus 9? 7. You're going to bring your decimal place down. 4 minus 2 is 2, and 8 minus 1 is 7. So 72 774 thousandths. All right, number 4 is the next one. All right, 32 7/10 minus, and be careful because we're going to put that 2 in the 1 spot, decimal 3 2 8. And if you notice something, I'm going to show you. You've got a hole here, so I'm going to put a 0 just for me. A hole here, I'm going to put a 0, and there's a hole there, I'm going to put a 0. That just helps me to make sure that all my numbers are lined up in accordance to those decimals. All right, we're going to borrow. So here's the deal. I'm going to borrow. I can't borrow from 0. Now, if I just had this number here, and I had, $0, could I give you $1? I can't. I can't do that. But I could borrow from 79. So I can borrow 1 from 79. 1 less of 79. Sorry, my bad. Start over. I can borrow from 70. 1 less of 70 is 69. So that's how it looks now. So 69. That's how you do that. It's borrowing across the zeros. All right. So 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 2 is 7. 6 minus 3 is 3. Bring that decimal down. 2 minus 2 is 0. And 3 minus 0 is 3. So it's 30 and 372 hundredths. All right, so for the next one is number 5, and it's 8 and 7 tenths. Subtract 3 tenths. We're lining up that decimal there. All right, 7 minus 3 is 4. Bring the decimal down. And 8 minus 0 is 8. So 8 and 4 tenths. All right, now for number 6, you also have the point where you're going to have to be careful about how you line your decimals up. All right, now on this one, you see that you have a hole there and a hole there. So I'm going to just write a 0 in there just to give myself a placeholder. All right, and then you've got 0 minus 2. So you can't really have that. You've got to cross that out, borrow from the 3 there. All right, 10 minus 2 is 8. All right, so I can't say 2 minus 3, so I need to add, borrow from that again. 12 minus 3 is 9. Bring your decimal down. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then 2 minus 0 is 2. So 21 and 98 hundredths for that one. Number 7 says Kelly subtracted 2 and 3 from 20 and got 17.7. Explain why this answer is reasonable. Now, the reason they're asking you to do this question is, remember, you always have to put the bigger number on top when you're subtracting. So which one's the bigger number, 2.3 or 20? 20 is the bigger number. Now, here's my question before I begin, because there's a decimal in 2.3. Where is the decimal in 20? If there is no decimal, the decimal is always at the end. This is like going to have like $20 and 0 cents. So even if I have $20, I always have a decimal at the end. Now I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to line my decimals up. You see how I did that? Add the decimal in there, even if you don't have one. Now I'm going to add some zeros in there for those hole fillers. Now we're going to be borrowing across the zeros. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. When you borrow across the zeros, essentially, so this 0, you can't say 0 minus 3. And you can't borrow from a 0 there. But you can borrow from 20. And I always put a box where I'm going to borrow across zeros. If I were to make this a 10, borrow 1, and I took 1 from 20, it would now change to 19. So 20, give 1 to them, makes that 19. All right, so 10 minus 3 is 7. Bring your decimal down. 9 minus 2 is 7, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So it says, Kelly got this answer, 17/7. Explain why this answer is reasonable. So you could say something like, a estimation or whatever, if you were to do an estimate. But I'm just going to just say the answer is reasonable because Kelly lined up her decimal / place value to get 17.7. Something like that is a fine answer. All right, so for number 8 and 9, you're going to use that paragraph there. It says, at a local swim meet, the second place swimmer of the 100-meter freestyle had a time of 9 and 33 hundredths seconds. The first place swimmer's time was 1 and 32 seconds faster than the second place swimmer. The third place time was 13.65. All right, so the first thing says, what was the time for the first place swimmer? Well, they don't tell you what the first place swimmer's time was. They only tell you it was faster, 1 and 32 seconds faster. So it's going to be 1 and 32 seconds faster than this one here. All right, so we're not going to add because we're not trying to get more time because that would be the slower person, but you do need to subtract. Sorry about that. So you do need to subtract. So 3 minus 2 is 1. 3 minus 3 is 0. You're going to bring down your decimal. And 9 minus 1 is 8. So the first place winner has the fastest time at 8 1/100ths. Second unit of measurement. All right. So number 9 says, what was the difference in time between the second and third place swimmers? So we're trying to subtract the difference in time. So the third place is the highest. So we're going to put that on top. And the second place is there. All right, we're going to subtract those, get the difference. 5 minus 3 is 2. 6 minus 3 is 3. Bring your decimal down. We're going to borrow. And 2 minus 9. Oh, why did I do that? That's not right. 13 minus 9. 13 minus 9 is 4. So the difference is 4 32/100ths of a second. What I call that. All right, number 10, Miami's annual precipitation in 2000 was 61.5 inches. Albany's was 42 92/100ths inches. How much greater was Miami's precipitation than Albany's? Remember in the last video for addition, we looked at words that were the signal words to tell us what to do. So in addition, we know things like total, sum, combined. Those all tell us to add. For subtraction, words like how much greater or how much more, difference tells us to subtract. Also the word subtracted. Those are words that tell us to subtract. So how much greater was Miami's precipitation than Albany's? So I'm going to subtract for number 10, find the difference in precipitation. Line my decimals up there. 5 minus 2 is 3. I'm going to borrow from this 1. 10 minus 9 is 1. Bring down your decimal. All right, I'm going to borrow again. And 10 minus 6 is 4 and 1. So the difference is 14 and 13/100ths inches. The answer is D. Explain how to subtract 7 6/10 from 20 39/100. So what it's not actually telling you to go like, 20 minus 7, da, da, da. What it's trying to ask you to do is to just line it up. So first of all, you're going to, let me just write it out. Write the numbers. Lining up the decimal points, of course. And then you're going to, like I always tell you to do, write those zeros in the, to show place value in those holes. And then you're going to subtract, the numbers out, starting from the right. Okay. Don't forget to place that place value decimal there. All right, so this is going to be the answers for the 10-7 practice. Move my camera up so you can see it all. we go. Okay, so 10-7, Envision grade 5, lesson 2-7, subtracting decimals. The essential question for this one is, how do you subtract with decimals? If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks, guys.